Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bite Size Panel Edition, where we take a deep but quick look at the human condition at home, at work, everywhere. I am your host, show creator, animator, and MAPS business coach, Peter K. Weiner. And today we have a panel of two joining us who are here to discuss today's topic, which I will reveal shortly. First, let's welcome John Fisk, top performing sales executive at PCS with a background in theater arts and choreography, because life is indeed a stage. And let's also welcome once again, head business coach, business owner, and real estate expert, MJ Coleman, to today's Bite Size panel. Welcome.
Thank you.
Morning, Peter. Happy to be back.
I'm glad to have you. And I want to welcome back John. I don't usually have guests 2 weeks in a row, but John was so jazzed about the topic last week. I just didn't have the heart not to bring him back. We actually started talking about this topic on the last show. So John, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and maybe something besides your Godzilla collection that we didn't know about you?
I was going to say, it's kind of hard to avoid in this office, but so as you said, I am a sales executive with PCS. We are a merchant services provider that is credit card processing that specializes in the petroleum field, and we're starting to take our products, our services, and our really low prices and give it to the mom and pop, small to medium business owners here in our backyard. For a little fun fact about me, and it actually is going to tie in quite a bit to the topic today because it's where I learned the real value of this tenet is actually taught martial arts for 10 years and was an international martial arts champion, third degree black belt. You wouldn't guess because I'm kind of fat now, but once upon a time, I was good.
Well, that's impressive. And yeah, you're going to have to show me some of those moves because I still am not confident if a bar fight should erupt, which doesn't happen very often, luckily.
We'll get you a katana. You'll have a little samurai sword. You'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be psyched out. That's the best. You
pull out some nunchucks and it de-escalates the fight pretty fast.
All right, MJ. I don't know if you're a martial artist or not, but we do know a little bit about your background, but tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe something we don't know about you.
Okay, very good. So I've been a realtor for almost 20 years now. And right around my 50th birthday, I decided I was a little bit tired of that rat race and really wanted to get into what I love most, which is teaching and coaching people. And so that's when I became certified. So now I'm a certified business coach with Business Maps. And something you might not know about me is I play the drum set. So if you want to keep everybody calm in the bar and keep them distracted, I'll be happy to play the drum set.
Yes. Don't stop playing because that's when things really get bad.
Oh, yeah.
When the band stops playing, that's when you know.
That's right.
And then when the bartender ducks behind the bar, then that's it.
It's all out.
We are in the West out here, so these things can't happen in the saloons.
In the wild.
Well, welcome both. Today's snippet is entitled "Winging It," and in it we'll explore what to do when things go sideways. How do we move through it, and what can we learn from the experience? So let's take a look at this clip, see what happens. Let's roll it. Some days everything goes as planned, while other days things might go a little sideways. And then there are the days when everything goes wrong at the worst possible time. So what do? You write it out as best you can. Say you're in the middle of a presentation and your computer crashes. The slides are all gone, but you still have the undivided attention of the room. Not an ideal situation, or is it? Remember, you're still the authority and they're still taking their cues from you. So if you quickly acknowledge the situation and then just keep going, they may respect you all the more for it. I know, easier said than done, but with a little confidence in yourself, you'd be surprised how well things could turn out. But don't rest on your laurels yet. There are countless other things that can go wrong. Say you're on a call with a potential client and you get tongue-tied or call them by the wrong name. Well, you might feel like just hanging up right then and there, maybe scratching them off your list forever, but that wouldn't do anyone any good. So instead, you can just be honest and ask to start over again. Maybe even make it obvious by reintroducing yourself. It might break the ice in a way that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So by effectively embracing your discomfort, you've made yourself human. And I think most people would rather do business with another human anyway. All right, what the heck? Let's do one more. One of my biggest fears as a coach is accidentally double booking a session. Now, we all do our best to keep track of our schedule, and there can be factors beyond our control, like automated schedulers that might have a miscommunication with your calendar, or the classic AM/PM mix-up when adding something to your schedule. Whatever the case, be honest and upfront with both parties. Maybe you'll get lucky and they'll be impressed with how in demand you are. So if given the choice between throwing in the towel and winging it wins every time. All right, so let's open it up and dive a little deeper into this. Since you're both second timers, I'm going to start with MJ. What was your key takeaway from this?
Oh, just that you don't have to be over prepared. That's always a fault of mine. And just to realize that things happen and you're just going to have to be genuine and explain what happened and make the most of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to say in retrospect, right? when the panic's not kicking in. John, how about you? What was a big takeaway for you?
Well, there's actually two key takeaways. One that I didn't quite expect, but is actually quite true and quite valuable. The idea that showing your flaws and being able to be honest about the fact that you're winging it now. You have made a little bit of a faux pas and you're just going to continue the best you can. The fact that it does make you more human. That comes down to I've done a lot of sales training with new hires in this position and previous, where I tell people the worst thing you can do when trying to establish a new lead is to be as rote as possible. Don't rehearse your pitch. Be natural, be genuine. They're going to pick up on that, and you're going to form an actual connection that's going to get you a lot further than a practiced pitch is going to. So that aspect actually surprised me. But in general, I feel like winging it is possibly the most important skill you can develop in general. There's an old adage, improvisation is the sign of mastery. So all you're doing, as you said, you've got the captive audience. They still assume you're the subject matter expert. And if you actually are, winging it should never be a problem.
Right. So having that confidence that you are the expert and being okay in that position, it sounds like a big part of the battle.
Oh, yeah.
So MJ, what's a situation where you've had to just throw it all out the window and just go for it? You prepared, you practiced, you got all your pens aligned, whatever it is you do before, and it just wasn't happening. Either a technical thing happened or some major distraction where you just kind of had to go for it.
So this is years ago. I worked for a company that would allow you to get certified to train for them, and so I love training, and so I signed up. And through the course, I learned that in order to get your certification, there was one final presentation that you had to do in front of everybody else who was vying for the same certification, and there were limited certifications. So I was like, whoa, right? So I completely prepare. I'm an over prepare anyway. Plan A, plan B, plan C. I've always been that way. And so I spent 2 weeks working intensely on this 3.5 minute presentation to get it absolutely perfect. So I fly out to Austin to go to the final presentation day. And what do you know? The first person that goes, they tell him he'd over prepared. And I immediately thought, oh my God, what do I do now? So I would love to come out of that saying that I did a fabulous pivot, but I bombed. I absolutely bombed. It stressed me out 10 times more. I still did it the way I practiced it. I still got marked down for over preparing and didn't pass the course. And but it was a good experience, and it was nice to make such a major mistake in a very small community of people who probably today don't even remember me. So
yeah. So after that, how did you take that experience and learn from it and move forward?
I definitely sprinkle in a lot more of my personal stories and really ask a lot more questions in presentations so that it can be unique to that group of people.
Right, and people like to talk. So that's a natural break. So John, I'm not gonna be as delicate with you. When have you crashed and burned?
Oh man. Well, it's actually funny you bring it up. So you and I both met through our local BNI chapter.
Yep.
You've got your first presentation as a new member coming up. Well, I remember my first presentation as a new member some years ago. I very carefully decided to put together a PowerPoint presentation with branded materials, videos, all kinds of illustrations, a few little witty jokes that I was going to line up, and I had it rehearsed. I put all this together, and I got there and realized that the work laptop that I had didn't actually have an HDMI port on it. Careless oversight on my part, so I had absolutely no way to present, and I stood there in front of, at that time, probably around 45 people, just kind of twiddling my thumbs for a second until I realized, you know what, all those visual aids, they're gone. Everyone's looking at me. It's showtime. And so curtains up, and I just did it. And it ended up being far better because when you're forced to improvise and you're forced to wing it, you're putting yourself into that same creative space that an artist goes to. You're just opening yourself up to the possibilities. I actually came up with little one-liners and sales pitches and facts that I had never considered before, came up with on the spot, and became integral in my presentations going forward.
That improv skill you were talking about. And I have a little quick story. So I was in high school and I was in the play Hamlet. And in the middle of the play, I started getting a migraine. And I was playing Polonius. So at least I wasn't Hamlet. But it was famous enough where the people that were there watching it knew the play. My lines were gone. Now I understood the situation, I understood my character, and I understood where the scene had to go. So I had to make up Shakespeare to get through and out of the scene. What do? You can't quit. You can't throw in the towel. The scene still has to play. You have another actor on stage.
That's right.
So that was mine.
That happens to everybody.
So what's your mental process? What are you actually telling yourself to get out of the panic when something?
After holy crap. After holy crap, I go, okay, that's all right. I can do this. If not me, who else could do this? And let's make this work. And the process really is being upfront. I think it said it in the video. Just admit it. In the video, it's funny. It talked about the AM PM mix up with double. Right. I have a time zone problem. And so I'll sit there and try to do the math and thank God for technology, and you can just put it in your time zone and it translates to the other person. But I have had issues when I'm traveling and I'm trying to book in my normal time zone, and that's really tricky. And my phone will say one thing and my computer will say another. And so when that has happened to me, it's just being, look, I am so sorry. This is the situation I'm in, and can I have a second take? And that seems to work well.
Yeah. I think we've all run into that where our phone and our computers are not in sync, and who do you believe? John, how about you?
Far more important that I know what it is I'm going to say rather than how. So if something does go awry, I know the core fundamentals of what we're discussing, what the task at hand is, and I can just flow. So it's gotten to where I try and strip away as many moving parts, as many hands in the cookie jar from a situation, to just try and simplify it to where I'm allowed to improvise as much as I need to, because there aren't those moving parts. I can just present the material whatever way I need to. And MJ, you just described the bane of my existence when it comes to the time zone, because I have clients not only all across the 48 states, but then some in Hawaii, which is actually even further behind than us. So I'm messed up constantly.
Yeah.
But how do you check yourself on the knowledge where you're confident? Well, you know what, I got this, I know this. And if the computer explodes and the whiteboard falls down and people's pagers go off, or I have a rude person in my group that's asking me irrelevant questions, what is my confident baseline? I'm going to ask this question to both, but I'll put it to MJ first.
It's always just using time to your advantage. So when you are standing in front of a group and presenting, or you're doing something like this, a Zoom call, time goes in slow motion for you. When you have a gap in conversation or thought, it seems like an eternity to you as the presenter, but to the people receiving it, it really doesn't. You'd have to go a long gap of time of silence for someone to notice that you were gathering your thoughts. So just having that confidence in what you're talking about and giving yourself the self-talk that okay, I'm going to stop for a minute and I'm going to think about this before the next words come out of my mouth, and make sure that I've got my thoughts in order. So I think it begins with, being confident in when speaking to others, but also having that baseline knowledge, and then just and opening it up to what their needs are. What questions do you have? What needs do you have? And have enough baseline knowledge to be able to say, this is a solution we provide, or even more importantly, say, no one's ever asked me that before. So I'm going to find out for you and get back to you. So, being able to admit you don't know it all. And, I love that expression because it makes them feel like, oh, good, I stumped the chump, right? But, here you get to say, no one's ever asked me that before. And let me find out and I'll get back to you. And John, like if you're training new people, when I was training new people, I used to say that. Yeah, even though this could be your first appointment, nobody has ever asked you that question before because nobody's asked you any questions, right? You just say, no one's ever asked me that before. Let me find out the answer. I think I know the answer, but let me find out for sure. I want to get you the right answer.
I really like that. And I like how it sheds the light on them, and it's almost a compliment.
Yeah.
Instead, oh, look how innovative you are, not look how uninformed I am.
Going back to the making yourself human and forming that connection and being honest with the people you're working with, the best thing you can never tell people is, I'm not an unlimited well of knowledge. I'm just a resource that's there to help you. So I might have to parking lot a question, but it's the exact point I was going to make, MJ.
Yeah.
Being upfront and letting people know, like, you know what, you stumped me, but I am going to get that answer for you. So.
Right. I'd much rather somebody, when you talk about winging, you talk about it within a certain realm, right? I don't want to wing a fact or a solution that I don't know isn't there. I don't want people winging that part of my life. If they don't know, I want to know they have a resource that does know and can get that sorted. So
I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the same thing here, and I'll throw this at John. So is there a time where you totally whiffed it and there was just no covering for it, totally swung and missed, and there's no doubt that everyone in the room knows that's what happened?
I feel like this is the most perfect twist of irony that I have to say, no one's ever asked me that before. So hold on a moment, I'd have to think about it.
Good.
And a great delay tactic when you're improvising is to make sure that you can play off of someone, give them a little moment of humor. And I do want to point out, Peter, you were worried about dating yourself back to school, and then quite freely talked about pagers just a few moments later. So. I don't know if you know this is not 1998, my friend.
Wow, I don't know where that came from. Yeah. But thank you for pointing that out.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. As far as times I've completely whiffed it with no real recovery, I hate to say it, there's one time I died on stage. This isn't a professional thing. This has nothing to do with business, which is what we're usually here to discuss. I was in a play, and I had been pretty deathly ill during a lot of the rehearsals, but because the director had worked with me so many times in the past, she just kind of said, you'll wing it. You'll be fine. She gave me that freedom. She trusted me more than I was kind of trusting myself on this one. So yeah, I had one performance where I just completely forgot the entire scene. And the secret was, and MJ actually already laid it up beautifully, take the moment of silence. What feels like an eternity to you is only a couple seconds to someone else. Take a deep breath, collect your thoughts. Even if you cannot remember the exact material or the exact process or whatever the game plan was, taking that moment to collect yourself and actually analyze the situation, you're going to find a new door has opened and you can take that path instead. So just take a moment and silence is golden, as the song says.
I have a question for MJ. when you make that transition and from a script to an outline, what is that process for you, and how has that been successful?
So it's a process I call internalizing. So you've got a script, maybe a proven script somebody else, a colleague has used, or a trainer has used, but and it has all the key elements, and it has usually some really well crafted words that will move people in the direction you want them to move. But if you internalize it, then you're going to be able to regurgitate it in your own style and something that feels natural. And so, unlike a play where you really need to go word for word in that character, you're becoming a different character in the play. When you're internalizing scripts, you're just pulling in knowledge and the keywords that research has shown will move people the direction you want, but still in your very own style.
Okay. So what is the practice process for that so that that feels embedded by the time you're in front of people?
Yeah, so what's worked best for me is really out loud, saying them out loud, the scripts out loud, and then of course practicing. And I prefer to practice on peers than on real customers because I don't want to lose those opportunities. And so really practice makes perfect. And it's just a matter of running it. Just run it from start to finish. You know, for me, what I'm speaking more directly to would be like a presentation with a seller to list their home to sell, or a presentation with a business owner, like a needs analysis situation to figure out if they need coaching.
That makes sense. We've talked about coming clean, and I wanted to maybe go a little deeper into that. We talked about whiffing it. We talked about getting the right questions. But what are some other times that you can think of? And I'll go to John, where you've had to come clean, and how did you come clean?
Again, it's just a case of pure honesty. I gave I gave a presentation for a very large petroleum client out in Florida, and it was a case of kind of being out of my depth. In all honesty, I was playing with some big boys who were honestly a little more experienced in the topic at hand than I was, and I was the one giving the presentation. Not to mention, I had taken a red eye, so I had flown all the way across the country, gotten about 3 hours sleep, had to do this presentation, hop on a plane, and fly all the way across the country again, run ragged. And I flat out told him, it's like, you know what? I am in this sales department. I know my boss is very fond of a phrase. He says, I know just enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And again, it's just that honesty of coming forward. It's like, you know what? I know exactly what I came here to present. You're starting to put me off track, and I'm going to follow you because I don't mind winging it. Let's follow this white rabbit, but always being honest with them. Like, if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, let them know, like, hey, I don't exactly know the details on that sort of question, but guess what? I have a team. I'm not my company. I have an entire team to support me, and making sure you let them know, like, you know what? I am an expert, but I'm not an expert in all things. Luckily, I have a whole team of experts that are going to be able to back me up, and I will get you that solution. So,
Yeah,
just be as upfront as possible.
yeah, that's some really good language. Yeah, that's not my area of expertise, or I have a team of experts.
I wanted to add to that because when I was running a real estate office, I had a brand new agent go on her very first appointment with a seller. And she did a great presentation. Everything was good. And he said to her, "So how many homes have you sold?" And she paused for a moment and she said, "You know what? Yours will be my first."
Wow.
And he said, "Oh," and she said, "But you know that Verizon cell phone commercial where like all the people are standing behind the person who's talking?" She goes, "That's what my office is like." She said, "I have a whole team of people behind me all the time that are going to walk me through this process and make sure that I give the best service I can." And she got the listing. She got it. She sold it in like 3 days. And he was one of the happiest customers we've had. So, that goes back to what you're saying, John. I'm not the whole company. I am who I am. I'm expert in what I am. And when I run out of expertise, I've got experts behind me. So
The worst thing you can do is when you are winging it and you find yourself out of your comfort zone, Just don't bullshit whoever you're in front of.
Right. Keep it on.
Competent individuals can always smell a bullshit artist. Be honest.
Yeah.
You might schmooze it. You might use your vocabulary and your charisma and your wit to dress up your failings a little bit, but still, be honest.
So thank you, John and MJ, for being on our panel today. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. We will be back again next week to explore staying true to yourself through all kinds of external changes. Also, if you'd like to talk to me about your business and where you want to take it next, click on the link below and we can talk. We will see you all then. Guys, I'm so glad you were on the show today. John, it was great to have you back. MJ, great to have you back a second time as well. And I really love having the two of you together. That was great.
Thanks for having me back, because as you kind of picked up on last week, this is like the core tenet of my success in life, much to the chagrin of those around me. Like I said, I'm the half a plan kind of guy. There's a reason I don't work at NASA. You can't make it to the moon with we'll figure it out on the way.
Well, for those over-preparers like me out there, there's a sense of relief after the show, to know that it's okay. That as long as you have the basics and the knowledge and you're open-minded, that you can get in and out of any situation that you encounter.
You know what's funny? This show felt so much more like winging it than other shows. And I don't know if that was like a subconscious thing because we kept talking about it. And I really learned a lot, especially about preparation and different methods for preparation and different thoughts around, what you do. And take that breath, because that breath is everything. Thank you guys for that.